And one of the things that Sinn Féin will clearly say is that we are absolutely in favour of Ireland's position within the EU, but that we want to see radical reform of that institution. And that's not being Eurosceptic, that's being Eurocritical, and we're very proud of our past, in terms of our past experience of standing up for what the interests of Ireland are, but also we want to put forward our proposals for how that EU can be reformed into the future. One of the areas is certainly around corporate lobbying. The EU now has more corporate lobbyists than Washington, and yet we don't have a proper lobby transparency. Unfortunately, both Fine Gael's groups and Fianna Fáil voted against a lobby transparency. Another area around climate action, we need reform there. We need to stop subsidising the fossil fuel industry and the emissions trading scheme, which is actually a financially enriched fossil fuel companies and dirty industries. But I'd like to particularly focus on the area of militarisation when it comes to EU reform, because we know that there is a definite push towards militarisation. We've seen that with the Lisbon Treaty, but that has been ramped up significantly in the last number of years. And both you have the president of the EPP group and the president of the ALDE group openly feeling comfortable now to openly talk about the future is a EU army. We're fundamentally opposed to that, but we're also fundamentally opposed to public money being used to prop up the arms industry, which is what we have seen, that one of the last votes that was taken before the Parliament went into recess was to sign off on a 13 billion blank cheque to the arms industry. This is at a time when we have soldiers and the naval forces in Ireland struggling to survive. We've seen cases of some of our soldiers being homeless, their families having to go out and protest on their behalf, and yet the EU is signing a blank cheque for the arms industry, money that will not go to those soldiers who desperately need it, but also will lead to further destabilisation in regions across the world. And we've seen with PESCO as well, the projects that it supports. This government signed us up to PESCO. PESCO is an undermining of our neutrality. Other neutral countries remained outside of the PESCO institution because it supports projects that are aimed at increasing the EU's ability to deploy troops outside of Europe. What we want to do, I suppose, is to look at the EU. We want the funding, public money being put into the likes of CAP, into cohesion funds, not into militarisation. And then we work very, very closely with our team in Leinster House to ensure that neutrality is enshrined, and every year we put forward a motion calling for neutrality to be enshrined in the Constitution, because we do not trust Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael with Ireland's neutrality.